If the Las Vegas Raiders stay healthy on defense, they're going to have a great defense. They were dead last in rushing last year, so I expect them to draft running back Ashton Jeanty at number 6 overall. That way, head coach Pete Carroll can run the ball and play defense like he said. Then it'll be easier to protect quarterback Geno Smith, and he can perform more like he did in 2022. All that is up to the offensive line, though. They got to protect Smith and open holes for Jeanty. That's why the unit's under so much scrutiny these days. Pro Football Focus ranked them number 13 in pass blocking and number 20 in run blocking last year, and they've only made one notable addition. So is the Raider offensive line ready to go to battle now, or do you think the team needs to invest heavily in it in the draft? Left tackle Colt Miller is still the best offensive lineman the Raiders have, even though he didn't always play like it last year. The reason why is he came back way too early from a shoulder surgery he had the prior offseason. You can clearly see Miller wasn't himself at the beginning of last season. He gave up 6 sacks in the first 4 games, including giving up 3 in week 2. But after that stretch, he got back up to elite level and gave up only 1 more sack over the rest of the year. That's 1 sack given up over the last 11 games to be exact. When you have surgery, you can't do anything for a long time, so when he showed up to play, he was out of shape. It takes about 6 weeks to get in shape, right? So it's no wonder why he went back to playing at an elite level after week 6. There's nothing like playing football for 6 weeks to get you in shape for football. If you have any questions about Miller being able to do his job this year, don't. He didn't have any setbacks that were made public, so we can assume that he'll be healthy and ready to play ball this year from the start of the season. That means we can expect top-end left tackle production out of him. Thayer Munford can still be a factor in this. In 2023, he showed he can be a starter at right tackle, so the Raiders let Jermaine Luminor walk in free agency last offseason. He also showed what he can do at left tackle when Miller was out with his injury. He had the right tackle job and all the momentum going into 2024, but injuries derailed him. First it was his hands in training camp, then it was his knee early in the season. He tried to push through it, but it wasn't pretty, so they had to sit him down for a few weeks. Then they tried to bring him back, and it didn't go well. I heard a lot of you talking about how bad he was, and you don't know what I saw in him, but he was hurt. DJ Glaze did okay in his stead last year, so he and Munford will compete for the right tackle spot. I love both of these guys, so I want to see the loser move to guard. If it's Munford, at 6'6", 330 pounds, he has the size. In 2021, he was projected to be a franchise left tackle, but stayed in school to fulfill a promise to his grandmother. Then when needed, he volunteered to move to guard and became an All-American there. So if Munford loses, he could make that move. I expect this to be a fight to the finish for the right tackle position. Again, I love both of these guys, and for the same reason, the position versatility. Guys like that make it easier to get the best 5 offensive linemen on the field. If one of them loses a battle at one position, they can slide over to another. Glaze played some guard in the Senior Bowl when he was coming out and was projected to be a guard by some of the scouting media. Former GM Tom Telesco saw that versatility and drafted him in the 3rd round because of it. Glaze got reps at right tackle from the beginning of training camp and ultimately got the job due to Munford's injury. Glaze only gave up 3 sacks as a rookie. He got help from tight ends and running backs chipping, but he still started 15 games as a rookie and didn't embarrass himself. There's a lot to build on there. They say an NFL player makes his biggest jump in improvement from year 1 to year 2, so we'll see how big of a jump Glaze makes soon enough. If he makes that big jump at the position, we could see him win the job this year. But if Munford wins it, Glaze is 6'4", 330 pounds and strong enough to make a great guard. I think the guy Glaze or Munford would replace is Jordan Meredith. He doesn't look like he would give up that position so willingly though. After coming to Las Vegas as an undrafted free agent, he had to work his way up from the practice squad. He did manage to play in 1 game as a rookie, then in year 2, he was on the team for all 17 games and made 1 start. Then last year he played in 14 games, starting 8. He did well in those 8 starts too. Meredith had a pass blocking efficiency rating of 98.8, and it would have been good for 2nd place in the NFL if he played enough snaps to qualify. He didn't give up a sack and only gave up 1 quarterback hit and 9 pressures. He also graded out well in run blocking. Generally I don't put too much on grades, but it matched what I saw on film. He's a solid run blocker. The thing that surprised me was his ability to play in the power gap scheme despite a smaller size at 6'2", 300 pounds. That's big for us, but not for an NFL guard. The thing we have to figure out with Meredith is, was that just a good stretch of football for him, or is that him? And will there be a big jump for him after his first year of starting? There were some good guards in free agency, and there will be some good guards in the draft this year, but do the Raiders need any more than what they got? New minority owner Tom Brady and GM John Spytek brought in Alex Kappa, whom they both know very well from their days with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He didn't have the best year last year with the Cincinnati Bengals. However, he was okay when he first got there and really good with the Buccaneers. They trusted him to protect Brady. They can't trust just anyone to protect the GOAT, right? Brady was older, so they really needed to protect him, and they did. Kappa was part of an offensive line that allowed Brady to get sacked only 23 times on their way to the Super Bowl. Kappa was also a solid run blocker when healthy and on his game. NFL teams use a power gap and zone scheme to run the ball, but Kappa fits teams that are based more in the power gap scheme than the zone blocking scheme. If Kappa can stay healthy, the Raiders will have a dog and a steadying presence with Super Bowl experience on that offensive line. The Raiders could really use that, but he's not any good to anyone if he can't stay healthy. And of course, the center position is all sewed up with Jackson Powers Johnson. I'm still trying to figure out what last year's staff was thinking. They were smart to draft him in the second round last year, but what they did after that was puzzling for a minute. I get what they were doing in the beginning. They wanted to keep Andre James at center because they weren't sure what they had in Powers yet. He played pretty well at guard, but not great because he was thinking too much with the change of position. Then James got hurt and Powers goes back to his natural position of center and starts mauling guys. He turned into an absolute monster because he didn't have to think about his assignments anymore. The Raiders were running the ball better and everything. A star was being born right in front of our eyes, but then the part I can't understand happened. When James got healthy again at the end of the season, they put him back in the starting lineup at center and Powers back at guard. He was better at guard than he was the first time around, but not at the same level of dominance he was at center. Well, they cut James a couple of weeks ago, so there's nothing standing between Powers and the starting center position now. Looking at the team right now, I think how far the Raiders go is up to the offensive line. The defense is looking good. Tight end Brock Bowers is back. There are still some receivers out there, and I can't see the Raiders drafting anyone but Genty at number 6 overall. And of course, Geno Smith will be in there at quarterback, so how the offensive line plays is really important. They didn't do anything but sign Kappa and cut James, so is that good enough? Having Powers at center is going to do a lot of good, as the offensive line was different with him there last year. Of course, we know Colt Miller will be in his left tackle spot, and Brady and Spytek brought Kappa in for a reason. And I think the right tackle competition will shape the rest of the offensive line. Thank you for watching. See you next time.